Hey guys, so I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about my process a little bit with this little drawing here, which is what I'm doing for Inktober. The prompt word is trip, and I thought it would be kind of funny to have this character smoking and riding his snail through a forest of mushrooms. Just a funny play on words there. But anyway, this is kind of a very illustration style piece. I have a few different styles that I work in, and this is probably the most fun that I have when I draw. It's because it's completely off the cuff and invented as I go. I had the idea of someone riding a snail, and what I did is I drew I drew a character with a top hat on a snail, and it morphed into this guy. And as I inked the central character, I started thinking about the environment a little bit more, and I completely changed the environment as I was going. And I usually do that with this type of drawing. So I've got the main character here, and now I'm free to just play around with the world that he's in. And yeah, it's fun. So why do I have things where I have them? First of all, I want you to be able to see what it is that this is a drawing of. And with ink, you really have to think that through because obviously you can't fall back on color. It's just lines and dots. Basically, a pen can make lines and dots. That's it. So you have to be very clear with your composition. And because this is a complex environment, my plan is to have the character fairly dark, and I might go ahead and make the snail a little bit darker as well. But the background that you see behind him is going to be all just very rhythmic parallel lines, and I might even do that. I probably will do that with diluted ink. That way, this isn't going to fade into a dark background. It's going to pop against a lighter background, but there's still going to be a background there, which will which will help to bring him forward. The stump or the I don't know if this is a tree limb or maybe the trunk of a fallen mushroom here that he's on. That will be fairly dark, especially the underside. And this kind of root system that I have here in the foreground is going to be probably the darkest element, and that's because it's going to be helping to frame the rest of it. So I'm going to have this really dark branch here in this corner and then down in the bottom, and then I'm going to have another one coming in on the side here. So you're going to have that dark, loose framework in half of this drawing, and then it'll kind of complete with the dark under here. Now, it sounds like I'm a genius when I talk like that, but I'm not. This all happened as I was playing around with it. I did not have these roots in the foreground at first. I had a completely different environment, and as I was kind of doodling, I thought, well, oh yeah, I could use roots to frame it. That would be kind of cool. And then I was drawing, instead of having him just going up a slope, I thought, well, it'd be kind of cool to open that up and show a little bit more of an expansive environment by having him on some sort of a bridge or something and seeing stuff below him. And then, of course, you've got the mushrooms towering above. This one is going to be more in the foreground. So like the extreme foreground here, this is going to be fairly dark. It'll also be dark under here as well, but I might have this even darker, as well as this part of the trunk here that we can see. So in effect, you're going to have kind of a framing going on for probably a good 3/4 of this drawing. And I think it'll work out. It'll work out pretty good. These other long mushrooms here and this one here, they're going to be they're going to be the middle background. So they'll stand out against the faded ink that I'll put back here, but they're not going to be quite as sharp and as detailed as the main characters here in this branch that they're on in the foreground. So I'm going to have three very distinct layers, perhaps four distinct layers that will stand out from each other. But I'm going to try and I'm keeping that very simplified with the use of my values. So I'm going to have very dark, and then medium gray, and then kind of faded. So it should, if everything goes according to plan, kind of be very instantly recognizable when you see it. That's the plan. Now, time to get back to the inking. So right now I'm inking the underside of this mushroom cap that is in the extreme foreground upper right corner. Heavy lines to represent the gills, the shadow between the gills underside the mushroom. I'm not worried too much about exact accuracy or super neatness. I'm just mainly concerned about giving an impression. So I've got the undersides of the mushrooms done, and I just need to finish up the top part here. The top part's going to have a little bit of detail, but not too much because it is in the middle distance. So if we put too much detail in there, detail-wise, it'll compete with the foreground. So I'll pick a sort of happy medium of detail.